Welcome back to Counterculture.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be invited back.
It's good to be invited back. Yeah.
It's good. This show is by invitation only.
Nobody
Else has ever been invited.
I invite you to leave.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Could you please find your way to the door?
Yes.
Hey, last Counterculture, maybe.
Yes.
Depending on, like, if I don't goof these up and post them differently than they're supposed to. But the last one, we ended with you saying, really explaining about this whole justice thing about, listen, we can't treat everybody the same. Right? And I'm thinking about counterculture and thinking about the fact that we live in a society that wants to do the whole one size fits all. Mm-hmm. Right? We want to pretend
until
size
it doesn't fit me.
Exactly.
And then we got to, did I just jump to conclusions?
No.
Okay.
No, I think you're good. You'll be able to work that back in, right? But we live in this whole one size fits all, right? Until it's not good for me, kind of thing, right? And yet, being counterculture, Jesus came into a system that was really that way, an accountability system. We talked about that, right? That said basically one size fits all. Here's how you handle every situation. Did the guy cut off your hand accidentally, or did he do it on purpose? Right? And if he did it, like if he cut off your hand, well, you put your hand out, he puts his hand out and you cut off his hand, right? That accountability system, right? An eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Jesus came in and seemingly kind of blew that whole system up and said, now listen, it's about intent, it's about other things. I'm going to go case by case, right? We would say that Jesus did not treat the Samaritan woman the same way that he treated the Pharisees. We would say that Jesus didn't treat Peter.
Wait a minute. This is where the kid says, but that's not fair.
That's right. I don't think that the other 9 disciples always got treated like Peter, James, or John. Right? I think Peter...
Well, we know that because Jesus had his inner circle. He had the circle, and he had the inner circle.
And Jesus was tough on Peter. Not only was Jesus tough on Peter, God actually intervened at the Mount of Transfiguration, right? And God says to Peter, shut up. He interrupts
in a rough way.
Right? Yeah. Says, hey, Peter, this is my son, listen to him.
Yeah.
Right? Stop.
Stop talking. Stop talking.
Which I think sometimes people are like, Andy, stop talking, right? I think we live in a culture where sometimes being counterculture is about recognizing in every situation, with every person, what is needed in that moment. Right? Not everything is treated differently, right? We talked about the example last week about the example of going to a restaurant and them cooking your food poorly, right? If I'm in tune with what's going around, there are moments when yelling at the waitress, all I got to do is look at him or her, and I know that that's the dumbest idea I've ever had, right? And then there are moments where it might actually be a good idea. It might get the waiter's attention. He or she's not. They're not taking it serious. They're not doing things right. They're not. Sometimes a yelling at is exactly what's needed. But my question for you is: all right, we can say it. It's hard to implement it. How do we implement it when we do tend to want equal justice for people? When we do tend to want fairness? When we do want to treat everybody the same?
Repeat the question again.
How do we implement this idea? How do we implement this idea of we don't treat everybody the same?
And okay, so you and I, let's the first thing coming to my mind is you and I coming at this from the perspective of pastors.
Yeah.
And I had someone say to me one time, well, if you do it for one, you have to do it for everybody.
Exactly. Perfect.
No, not necessarily. God may have put it on my heart to do that for that person, and that might have been what they needed at that moment. Maybe you didn't. And maybe when, if you gave the one person a hug and you didn't give the person, well, Pastor, you didn't give that person a hug. Maybe they don't want a hug. Maybe they don't like being hugged, I remember watching a movie. I don't remember the name of it, but I remember one of the characters said, if I treat everybody the same, then I treat no one special. There's times I think that sometimes a person needs to be treated special.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Well, how come you didn't give me a hug? Well, maybe I didn't feel like you needed it at that moment.
Maybe God didn't tell me to give you a hug.
Maybe God didn't tell you. Yeah, I think it takes a lot of discernment. And I think the thing that, and the way you asked the question, that's why I asked it, how do we handle it? I think the one thing we always have to do, Andrew, is we always have to operate from a place of grace.
Yep.
I may have my steak, taking that.
Yep.
They didn't do it well. I can choose to be a creep.
Yep.
And yell and scream and rant and rave and be entitled jerk. Or I can say, I can sit here and say, what is the most gracious way I can handle this? Because, first of all, we know that the server is just bringing out the food.
Yep, they didn't make it.
They didn't make it.
Nope.
We also know that I've never worked in a kitchen, and it's probably not a good place for me to work. Because I would, keeping it all together, and it's easy to do. When they bring out, we used the example last time, my wife and I go to Texas Roadhouse, and sometimes they always say cut into it and see if those steaks are okay.
Yeah.
And I can look at it sometimes. Like I said, this one's a little too done, and Sandy can look at hers. She says, "Oh, I got a little more pink in it." I said, "Oh, we probably got." And what did we say we do?
Switch it.
I keep my grilled onions and I switch them over to her. Okay, and I give her steak. And sometimes, you just eat the daggum steak and be glad you have it. I was taught that, just whatever's put in
That's
front
exactly what I was
ate
like.
it,
You don't cut into it and tell them anything. You just eat
and
what's
they say
put in
don't
front
send it back because it could really be worse. Okay, so how you handle it makes all the difference in the world.
No doubt.
Can I? And how am I going to get justice? Am I going to get justice if I yell and rant and rave and be a jerk? I might get worse than what I had in the first place. So what if I say, could you have them just a minute longer?
Yeah.
It's close, or what there's ways we can do it that will still get us because what are we hoping to get with justice? Satisfaction, to where we're pleased and we feel like we've been valued.
Exactly.
Because that goes back to the shame piece we were talking about last week. So I want to be valued. And here's the thing. Does the cook know me?
Yeah, nope.
The cook does. So that it's like the cook's back and say, it's Andy Fred. He looks
gonna burn it.
He looks like someone who did something, who cheated me or something. So I'm going to burn his steak. It's like, it's not personal.
No, but we take...
How about when someone cuts you off in traffic?
Yeah.
They don't even know me. How much power we give away to other people over our emotions and our feelings who don't even know us. Did that cook really, how about if we did this? Mr. Server person, I know the cook didn't do this on purpose, and they're probably really, you'd think you're going to, they go, yeah, he was really nice. He just would can you go just a minute longer? He knows you're really busy back here. He sees you. Some of those places you can see back.
Right.
And, it's not perfect. It's not personal.
I think, again, when things are an experience in life, we're open to that kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
When we go to a restaurant and I want a 30-minute, moment, like I want to order my food, get it, and be out of there in 30 minutes, right? I don't have time for any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. But when I'm going to a restaurant and I'm for an experience, I'm going with somebody, we're going to eat, we're going to talk, why does it matter? Mm-hmm. Right? It's not that I love what you said. They didn't purposefully cook the meat wrong to slight me.
Yeah, right.
They cooked it, right? They may have been so busy they grabbed the wrong piece of meat, put it on the wrong plate, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But we have to be open to hey, I want to intentionally this person didn't try to do this. But it has to do with when we value people. Jesus was able to look at people and know exactly where they were. Mm-hmm. We don't get to do that. We have to work to be Jesus-like. So we have to make ourselves look up from our menu in our conversation, look into the eyes of our server and go, yeah, this is probably a bad time to do that. Right? Bad time to say that. It's funny. I was taking some gifts to a shut-in lady yesterday, right? And my intention was drop off the gift and run away, right? Like I'm busy, got other stuff to do. Yeah. But we opened up the door, interacted with the woman for a second, and realized, we need to go in for a second, right? Mm-hmm. Now again, valuing that person, in retrospect today, I'm playing why didn't I just cancel whatever was next and just say, this is the most important moment right now. Yeah. But because we're looking at the next moment thinking, I want to value that person too, I want to value that person after them and that person after them. But the truth of the moment is, in that moment, what really would have valued that person wasn't just giving them a gift. It would have been time. It would have been sitting with them and honoring them in that way, right? But we get caught up in this whole thing, right? We get caught up in, it's got to be equal, and I made 5 appointments today, and I got to beat each one, and each one's got to have an hour of my time, and each blah, blah, blah.
So
We have to work hard.
yeah. So I'm sitting here thinking about Psalm 72, which we started this conversation on. And the psalmist says, "Endow the king with your justice, O God, the royal son with your righteousness. He will judge your people in righteousness and afflict ones with justice." So justice can be an affliction sometimes. And when we say we want justice, it's usually we're wanting to feel like we've been vindicated, but we also want someone to get punished. Maybe the best thing, I've seen it. I've seen grace operate in such wonderful ways. Sometimes when a person they say to the person they're a victim's family. There's been a video going out this week. I don't know if you saw it.
No.
The Little League thing.
Oh yeah, I heard of it. I
Kid,
didn't get to see it.
So the pitcher hits the kid in the head, and this kid's so shook up, and the kid takes his base. And he sees the pitcher is really shook up over this, and it's beautiful. I cried when I saw it. So the kid that got hit puts his helmet down. He goes over and he just hugs the kid.
Just hold me.
Just holds him. He could have gone over. Yeah, you should be crying. That's what most of us think justice is. You should be crying. You should feel bad.
Yeah. Nope. You should be out of the game.
And then if you feel bad, then I'm going to feel better. I don't know that I've ever felt better when someone else felt bad.
No.
But when you see that, talk about
what a great example.
What a great example. So I'm sitting there thinking, I wonder, and maybe it's twofold here. Endow the king with your justice. So there's 2 ways that can be looked at. Number 1, give him your justice, God, so that he can govern justly.
Yep.
And he or the other side of in his the royal son with your righteousness. Probably talking about David there. We want David to rule justly, and we want him to do it righteously.
Yep. Do it well.
But there's also a piece of this that says this: don't just give it to him so that he can distribute it even, but when he needs it, give it to him. And so this justice, give me justice, Lord. Be careful, because the way you're wanting justice given to other people, you may get it that way too.
Wasn't it funny? Because you mentioned, I think in the last video, that we want mercy. That's what we need more. So usually in a situation, I want mercy.
But give them justice.
Give them justice.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But giving this whole idea of giving the authority really over to God. God, I don't know this whole situation.
Exactly.
I know what I would like in this situation. I'd really like an apology.
Here's how I'm interpreting it.
Yeah.
But and so it's a matter of we're to be people of grace.
Amen.
Which can actually be a form of justice, couldn't it not?
Absolutely.
Could it not?
Absolutely.
So if justice is getting what I want, isn't it really to feel better?
Yep.
So if I can forgive someone who wronged me, can I say, I didn't get any restitution, but I got some rest?
Yep.
Wow. I am just a wealth of quotes today.
You know what? And convictional. So that's a perfect place to leave this counterculture before it goes across the line and becomes
meddling.
Right. We want it to convictional. Hey, listen, take these truths, do something with them. Don't just file them away in your brain. I heard somebody say once, do something with it. Apply it. Try to look at things differently. We'll see you next time. Counterculture.
Grace and peace.